now. So the first speaker we have is Kana. Kana has been with Intel IoTG for more than a decade and has worked in multiple roles supporting customers to design innovative IoT solutions. Kana has experience in Linux, virtualization, and security. Now he evangelizes the need for great developer experience with Intel software developer tools. The second speaker we have is Yap Keng Lai. Keng Lai started as an engineer with Intel IoTG 16 years ago. She has also been a hardware application engineer and a technical writer within Intel. She is now a content designer with IoTG, responsible to ensure great user and developer experience while using Intel products for edge interference solutions. So I'll pass on to the two speakers. That's all from me. Kana, on to you.
Thank you so much, Nikki, for giving us a very good introduction. Hey, good morning, everybody. I know that all of you are excited for today's topic Keng Lai and myself is going to cover. So we will just get right on to it. So UX/DX, what do you need to know? So when we talk about UX/DX, it's very all around us. We have user experience information, how we interact with people, how we interact with things. But today we're going to go at a pragmatic approach, what those are. So let's go to the first slide, shall we? So when you talk about a user experience or developer experience, what UX/DX is. Number one, we need to know who our users actually are, right? We need to know who the users actually are and what are the common values do they share from a day-to-day perspective, and in today's day and age, what are those values are. So it's pretty important that we need to know, what they like, what they don't like, at the same time, what kind of environment that they are in, at the same time, what kind of a background they're coming from. And when you put all of these things together, when you develop a system or a solution, they will get on board very, very quickly, and then your product will be successful. So let's go to the first point. So what are the commonly held values that we have? Yes. So number one, the users want to be in full control. They don't want to have a subset of feature. They want to have the complete feature. And you all know whenever you all download the app, right? So any apps, mobile apps, whenever you have a certain limited app, then they will say certain apps, certain features you have to pay for it. People are willing to pay for that kind of experience, and they are willing to pay for efficiency. They are willing to get the best of the best whenever they own a product, right? So they want to have it full control, and they don't want to have a limitation of set, right? So they want to have everything that they want. So when you talk about being empowered, 10 years ago you don't have Grab, right? You have to go to the taxi station. You have to go and ask for a taxi driver, hey, can you take me from this place to this place? And then the taxi driver will give you a number, right? A magic number. Okay, this distance will cost so much and so much. And then you will have to negotiate your way through. Today with Grab, you are fully in control where you want to go, when you want to go, how you want to be there, what car that you want. So all these are circulating in today's day and age, right? The users get the full control, and they get to control their destiny. What about the next point, right? So they want immediate response. If you had an app that was slow, immediately you will get off board. You don't want to stick with this app anymore, right? You'll be like, why is this app so slow? Is it the connection, or is it the way it handles data? So you want to have snappy response, because today we are living in a culture where everything needs to be quick. We're talking about fast food. We're talking about getting to places quickly. You don't want to park. We call it now. We have a new thing called self-checkout. Self-checkout. You don't have to wait for the person who's working on the register to scan each product, right? You can do it yourself. The very moment you come to the place where you check out everything, it'll just auto deduct from your account. Like you have taken maybe a carton of milk, some bread, some jam, and immediately the system knows that you have already taken all of this to your shopping cart. But the moment you want to exit, it just checks you out immediately, and all you get is the notification on your mobile phone saying you have taken this things, and then you have to pay for it. So they want immediate action and response. And if you look at it, we are really in the bridge between 4G to 5G, especially for Malaysia, right? So you guys can see the transition happening. Once 5G gets into full mode execution, or full infrastructure has been pulled up together, then you start to see a lot more new technologies that are coming in terms of medicine, military, autonomous driving, and all of these new services will come on board. And all of them require snappy, immediate response, right? So this is where you go. Let's go to the next point. Right. Clear and uncluttered. You want to have a full view of whatever that you want your audience to do on the phone, on a PC screen, even at a kiosk, or even when you go to navigation, right? We want to make sure that you have clarity on where you are supposed to go, where you're supposed to turn, and everything should be within your visible range, your peripheral range, if you will, and then you know what to do, right? So these are some of the key inputs that I want to bring to you guys that we have to know. So what we say is that today, let's go to the next slide, Ken Klein. So all of these apps, digital contents, and everything that we have, they are shaping our values today, and we have the power to shape the futures, the future users' values as well, right? But of course, there are certain things you can't change. People want immediate response, so you can't change that. But the way that we create those apps, the way that we connect the dots from technology to user and user back to technology, we are constantly shaping the world around us. So digital contents, the experience is constantly evolving as we speak, right? And I don't know how many of you have heard that one of the latest keynote that was given by Elon Musk. Your mobile phone will no longer be a peripheral; it will be another extension that comes directly from your brain, where you do not even have to interact with using an actual UI. You just think whatever that you want to think, and it will just materialize in terms of action, right? So it is a constantly evolving path that humans are trying to perfect user experience, trying to perfect developer experience, and all you have to think about is an idea. Like, I just want to do this. As simple as an intent, and then you can get a result out of that. You do not need to know about the process. You do not need to know about the steps that you need to take, right? You just think about it, and then it's there, right? Immediately you come to a materialization point, right? The output. So this is where I want to bring an overview of what UX/GX is, right? But there are some principles, right, Keng Lai? Would you like to walk us through the principles?
Yeah, there are some principles. Thanks, Kana. I believe now you have brought people to watching sci-fi shows. Those ideas are really great in sci-fi shows.
Yeah.
Right. But it's true. I mean, whatever that we see today, some of them are actually coming from sci-fi ideas, right? And it's feasible. It just shows that it's feasible. But today, what we are going to talk about is what is UX and DX. So here you can see the definitions of UX and DX. But really what we want to tell you is that UX is just basically the user experience of people using your product. And I know today the audience here are actually supposed to develop something out of our Intel products, right? And why this is important for you, because now is the time that you start to design and start to incorporate the ideas of how you want users to use your product and how you want them to use it easily, right? And so that's the UX. UX is basically stands for user experience. Now the DX part is basically the developer experience. So of course the developer are also users, but how developers using your software to build something that is different than the end product. Like for example, a food ordering app, right? So I mean, developer don't use the food ordering app to build something else, right?
Yeah.
So basically, it's just a different experience. And like what Kana mentioned just now, you need to understand your users, and these are kind of we refer to personas, right? Different personas using your product. Yeah.
You know what, King Lai, that's good. Why don't we take a quick look at this? We put this simple food ordering application, and we want to get your thoughts. What do you think about this food ordering application? I'm sure that you guys would have used Foodpanda, Grab, and all these different platforms. But what do you think about, for this case, for our own study? Let's take a look at this UI example and let us know what you think about this food ordering app. And if you are a little bit shy to speak up, you can actually put it into the chat box and then we can interact a little bit. So, okay, go ahead. Who's going to be the first one that's going to talk about the food app?
Sir, I'm volunteer to talk about it.
Sure. What's your name?
My name is Lo Jiangyik from UTM.
Hi.
Hi. From the app, I think the interface, what I need to talk about is the thumbnail. When the first glance, I don't know what is the name of the food of the thumbnail, especially for foreigners who don't know what is nasi lemak. So my suggestion is, if the developer can put a label of the name into the interface, then it will be better.
That's a very good observation. Could you introduce yourself again so that we all know your name? We didn't quite catch that earlier on.
My name is Lo Jiangyik from UTM School of Computing.
Right. Good to get your input there, Jungyik. Really appreciate your input there. So yes, the first one is, if this app doesn't fly well with a person who's not from Malaysia, right? The food, it does not have a label, and then people won't know what drink is that, what food is that. That's good. Good try, Jungyik. Thank you so much for participating. What about the rest? What else do you all think that is we can talk about this app? Someone, Nurul Sabrina said, price tag.
Yeah, price tag.
Not put a price tag. Very good observation there.
You don't know what you're paying for, right?
you got okay. What else? What else can we harvest from this UI? Okay, let me get the ball rolling here. Oh yeah, another ball.
Yes. May I try?
Yes.
So
go ahead.
I'm Yuen. Just call me Yuen from UTM. So from UTM, so I agree with what Junyi said, and I think that if we compare to the most famous, I believe the most famous food delivery apps is Foodpanda. I think as compared to it, it means something like when we are using food delivery app, we can see the category, what category of the food I am in, like what is the dinner or what is the is the dessert, is the Western food. I didn't see something like that. It's very confusing. Yeah, I think there is something is missing up.
I really appreciate that, Yuan. You did a good job. You did a good job there.
Thanks.
Because yes, I purposely did not classify the food there. So this is a very good input, whereby I mix up the snacks, the main dessert, the drinks, all I mix up a little bit. So now you see why UX is so important. You start to realize that, oh yeah, I need to categorize it properly. I need to classify the food properly. And then you make it easier for our users to use the app and navigate the app. That's why we call about a very good navigation. Very good examples, Yuan. So what else do we have here? We have a few more in the chat.
Operations hours for the shop. Yeah, I think that can be a good information too, yes?
Yes. I think one more we missing out here earlier on.
Inconsistent. Yeah, some picture have water, some does not. Ghana, what kind of app are you doing?
Yeah, that's right. Good. So there are some borders, some without borders. So it doesn't look good, right? It doesn't look appealing to the user. Very good.
There's one very important too. No clear instructions on how to order. Right?
Yeah. I'm assuming you all are millennials. You all know how to use this app. But it's good. All these are good inputs. I saw one. there's no label whether if it is breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So further hours, good try, very good. Yeah. So I'm assuming that all of you are millennials, you all don't care, but apparently you all can. So now I need to learn about the user. So all these inputs are very good. They are valid inputs because it speaks so much about the user, which I did not think. I just thought, all users are the same. So from your input, you can realize that every user are different. They have different expectation. While we cannot fulfill all of the needs, but we can at least take all of this into consideration while we are building the app. So very great inputs. So you guys get an idea about this. But Keng Lai, let's go into the material how do we go about this designing the good UX and UX? Let's go to the next slide.
So yeah, here you see what are the good UX DX design criteria. But all of this is already mentioned by Kana before, and you already gave us feedback, which some of these fall into these categories, right? So functional or useful. That's the basic of a good product, right? Is the product able to perform what it claims to do correctly? And then the keyword is correctly. Well, it may perform something about the function, but it may not do it correctly. But if it doesn't do it correctly, that means it's not a good UX or DX, right? Design. And then you guys also talk about instruction on how to order the food just now, right? So easy to use. Come on, you need to have clear navigation, and the icons that you use are intuitive. So you see, you guys already have those ideas in your head, right? So it makes us so much easier to tell you what is this all about. And then easy to use is also easily accessed features. Labeling is one of them. Yeah, you label so that people don't have to think, oh, what food is that? I've never seen it before. So those kind of things, right? And get things done efficiently. Like what Kana say, have to respond fast. Come on, I click something, but you're not giving me any response. What is happening? Is it hang, jam? Right?
No loading bar, yeah? No loading circle. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know I am very frustrated if I'm using an app that is like that because you just left me hanging. I don't know about you all, but I bet a lot of people actually feel frustrated about that. Accessible. Can be used by anyone or anywhere. Imagine someone with disability, I don't know, maybe a blind person, then you want to add something to your app that can actually tell or read out what that person is doing or going to order, what's available on that page. Credible, secure to use and reliable. Like for example, you want to do a bank transfer. You know how nowadays we actually hear about fake websites, right? Once you hit the fake websites and then there goes all your money, you go to somewhere else. So yeah, you want something that is secure to be used, right? They have implement some security to the data that you actually provided to the company. So these are some examples of good UX DX design criteria. So,
absolutely. Yeah. Well, where does it apply? Yeah, that's right. Let's take a look at that.
Yeah, and so where does it apply, Kana? I think the audience also have an idea about it, right? For example, the labelings, come on, you apply that on the pictures, right?
Yeah.
So that's basically where exactly UX and DX, what you can do with UX and DX on your product. First of all, is your documentation. Now, I don't know how many people, I think all of us should be very familiar with IKEA, right? So now IKEA, if you notice that they have very limited text, but they have full of pictures, so that an illiterate person can be able to tell what they have to do with the product that they buy. So now documentation, you can do all this. You can design your UX and DX in a better way. For example, you can do proper content hierarchy. So proper content hierarchy, it just means that the flow of having your readers to go through the documentation is smooth. Now, for example, you want to tell about probably the order. What would you do first? What kind of information will you put in first? Do you want to have instructions of asking the user to, hey, put in your location first? Or do you want to straight away ask, what do you want to buy? Or do you want to straight away ask, please pay this? Right? So
Right.
the content hierarchy has to be, properly stages, right? And no
Right.
jargons and ambiguous words.
Yeah. Keng Lai, I want to add on to that. Whenever you do programming, the first and foremost chapter that you come into any programming documentation is Hello World, right? Hello World tells you this is the first thing you have to accomplish before you go and do all of the sophisticated API programming and all that. So in every programming, you will come across this chapter, Hello World, because Hello World gives you the first excitement. Yes, I compiled Hello World. Of course, most of you developers are very advanced, but to a person who has not done any form of programming in their life, Hello World is a very big accomplishment because they know the compiler is working, the environment set up, and it will actually put a very firm foundation on where they have to go from to the next step. Without Hello World, you can't do all of this sophisticated code compilation, right? You have to make sure that everything is set up well, and Hello World tells you thumbs up, you're good to go for the next level. So same thing, developer experience or even user experience in documentation. How do you structure the flow of a document will help you to continue to read or abandon the whole document. Like, this thing doesn't work for me, I don't understand what it says, everything's cluttered, and I just want to abandon the whole thing. So you become discouraged. So our main motive is that we want to continue to help the reader to continue to read, right? Don't stop in chapter 1, but continue on to the rest of the chapter. All right, so let's go to the user experience thing.
Yeah, so, well, of course, there are some other things like jargons. I don't know how well do you know about this word back end, for example. I believe non-technical people might not understand what does back end means, right? And also, for example, if you have an error and you want to display the error, you don't display bad command file.
Yeah, bad command file.
Well, only a Windows user probably will understand that. Yeah, so no jargons, preferably something that is more, people don't have to really interpret. Spend time thinking about what exactly does this mean, right? And accessibility tools like, for example, alternative text, for blind people, or captions for videos, right? You want everybody to be able to, use your tools. So provide these tools to help them to use it easily. Now, user interface. This is what we discussed just now, and you guys provided very well, very good examples, right? Intuitive icons, consistent layout across page. Consistent layout across page are very important because you don't want your users to get lost. For example, they are so used to, you show up the first page and then your navigation, your title navigation is on the left, and then suddenly there's the next page, your title navigation is at the top. So you make people confused, like, hey, previously I can just click on my left, but now where is the navigation button, right? So yeah, consistent layout is very important to, get the user to be able to click on places within your applications, right? And packaging, of course, it has to be reliable and it has to be organized. Imagine that you get something that delivered to you where the box, you don't even have to use a cutter to cut out the box and it just suddenly pop, open. What would you think? It's like, oh, how many times has this thing dropped out, right? So yeah, it has to be reliable, right? And organized. Well, a lot of times when we buy our our smartphone, all the cables I actually put it at the bottom of the smartphone. So you will see the smartphone first, and then once you take out the smartphone, and then the bottom part will be all the cables and all that. Instead of being cluttered, probably the smartphone, everything jumbled up together. That's how we do packaging, right? So it is just not organized.
Yeah. So I think I want to touch a little bit on the packaging side. Everything is intentional by design. So the next time, whenever you get a gift, whenever you unbox it, just take a time to just understand, like, wow, they have put in so much intention on what to be at the top, what to be at the side, and the entire experience of unboxing gives you something unique experience, like a very personalized feel to it. And another thing is that I don't know how many of you do online shopping. Do read the comments. They always come back to you. There are some comments that says flimsy packaging, badly packaged. I saw dents on the package and stuff like that. So packaging does play an important role. We do want to. I don't want to put any. We have to put a lot of attention to that. Attention to those details. All right. So how many times do we have to do this, King? Like what kind of, is it an iterative process, or is it like a one-day process? What is it like to do a good UX design?
Although, don't get intimidated by the process, right? Because if probably a lot of people don't realize this, whenever you start a project, you're already probably doing this, but it's just that you're doing it subconsciously, and there is no fine line in identifying which stage that you are in. So this is just a way to show you that you are actually doing it, but there is a definition for each of the stage that when you're doing it. So first off, we started with the product definition. Now, you all are very, I don't know, there should be a lot of projects going on throughout your university years, especially those in the final semester, right? So your final year product. So sometimes this definition probably already given to you, like your professor, your lecturers will be maybe thinking, maybe already tell you that, hey, use this particular board to do this for this particular function. You have to use this particular language for the programming. So those are the product definitions, right? And also, if you're doing it in a team, you always sit down in a group and then you brainstorm, hey, what are we supposed to do, right? How are we supposed to do this? So those are product definition stage. So basically the result is a high level outline of what you are going to do, right? And the purpose of what you are going to produce. Now then you go to the user research and analysis. This may not be, the user research and analysis may not be as clear to many of us, but I believe some of you are already using it. Like for example, if you're programming something and you want to show a GUI, right? You probably are going to ask your best friend, hey, does this look nice? Kana, what do you think? The color, is it correct? Yeah, so it's those are the user research and analysis. You ask questions, you ask people that whether this one looks nice or not, or do you think that the button should be here or should be here, or should I add the power on off button at the front or at the back, this kind of. So these are actually data collection on how users should use your product. And maybe if you have time, you can actually do some benchmark or competitive analysis. And by that, you're just basically, probably you try out some similar products and then you try to see, oh, okay, what are the advanced features that they have? Do I want to add this in? Or what are the common things that your users would like for something similar? So the result should be some user stories of your product. Now, example of a user story would be, it's like, if I'm a user of a food ordering app, I would like to know what are the restaurants nearby my location. So that is an example of a user story, right? So based on this, then you can identify, hey, okay, so they want to know what are the restaurants nearby to their location. So first of all, they probably need to key in their location. So that is how it helps you to build your features, right?
The good thing is that Keng Lai, I realized that whenever we read the app's review in App Store or even Google Play Store, you always come across notes that says that improved UI, enhanced UI. That means I realized that at the very beginning of your product, most likely your UI is UI 1.0 that gives an early acceptance for the early adopters of the product, changes and how they want to improve the entire product as more users come on board and give more feedback, and it's an ongoing iterative process until the product expires. I don't know, but yes, that the product stays on.
Actually, you brought up a very good point, Kana. Reading reviews of products that are similar to what you're going to build, that is a very good data collection too. Then you will know, okay, so what are the bad things about these products that I can actually improve on for my products, right?
That's right.
So then next come to your product design. So once you have the user stories or you have a list of things that you think that it will be useful for your product, then you start designing it, right? So it's basically like answering questions of what the user would want. So now the result can be a prototype based on what you think your user would want for your product, right? And then you do testing and analyze. Again, the phase number 4 is something that you probably already do it during your project process, right? You create a website and then you ask your friend, hey, can you please try out for me and see whether this is good for you, or you show it to your lecturer, right? Sir, ma'am, do you think this is good? So those are testing, and then and also there are other things that you can do for testing. So basically, testing is just you do something, you get people to test it out for you, and then you collect the results. Now, the result should be a list of areas and items that you should improve on. And as well as probably they identify, hey, this feature is actually very good. So then you keep that in mind and say, okay, people like this feature, I should keep this, right? So yeah, that's for the test and analyze. And then you go to product improvement. Of course, once you get the data, what else to do? Improve it on your product so that you get an improved version of what they actually want. So it's fairly easy actually. And I believe a lot of people are actually doing this if you think about it. So
right.
Now we talk about
maybe
how to do.
Maybe let me take up this one,
Sure.
Help out with this one. So doing research. Your best researchers are usually your peers, your friends, and your community. They give you a lot of data. So yes, surveying is one of the best way, but you need to get honest feedback on what kind of experience that they're looking at, and also how do you want them to discover the product, right? Likes, dislikes. So all of this information are usually available in the World Wide Web. They do a search on certain studies and also research papers and all that. They give you a lot of information when it comes to survey and research. Somehow they are intertwined together, and you can also observe how similar products in the same likeness have already gone out and how they are actually working out for the ecosystem. Are they doing well? Are they not doing well? And you get to hear today in YouTube, right? You get to see this thing is done almost at real time. People actually come on board on YouTube and critique about certain apps, what they like or they don't like. So in today's day and age, right, I would say it's a lot more easier to collect data and research because people are already doing the critique. They critique a product on your behalf. All you have to do is just subscribe and hear what they have to say, and then you will immediately know, like, so and so has done like this, and maybe I should do something differently. And the best part is, yes, the traditional approach is to read the product about the product, right? You gotta go do the documentation reading. But today, again, in YouTube, people are already putting in so much information about a product. Even before the product launches, there are people who get an early, what we call a testers unit or an early unit, and they will talk about these products, like what do they like about it, and then at the comments section, pay attention. You get to see a lot of juicy information there in the comment section, right? And of course, the last one, benchmark. Again, people are doing that already in YouTube. They're helping you to benchmark product A, product B, what it is. Let's talk about a headset, right? I'm not sure how many of you love music, but there are so many reviews on headset, on every kind of headset for different kind of music, different kind of environment. So people are getting really excited about what technology is all about, and they are without compulsion or without, they willingly give you all this beautiful information for you to take, harvest, and then really drive in a little bit more neat or a lot of more focus to your product. So just want to give you guys a bit of context here. And then interviews, one-on-one, yes. If you know someone who's operating a business, then you can go to that person and ask, hey, what that one unique feature that you would need to make your business better? So those are the questions that you can ask on a one-to-one. And you can also ask them like, hey, last time you were using this type of solution, right? This type of ordering system, this type of a resource management system, including managing your workers, managing your employees, at the same time, also your finances. What was the weakness back then? Then from there you will understand. And of course, empathize, and you must have this wonderful capability of listening. Right? Empathizing is a very important role where you really understand the background of where this person is coming from. At the same time, the dynamics of a business really plays an important role, right?
Kana,
Yeah.
about the empathizing and listening, I have been a technical writer for 6 years, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm a content designer. I have to get my work out for reviews. And it is just not easy to do the listening part, I have to tell you, But, for you out there, when you do these interviews and when you listen to how they criticize your tools or your product, just put it in your mind that they are not criticizing you. They are just talking about the product, and it's not about you. As in, if your friend actually do this product, the same thing will happen to your friend. So yeah, you have to put that in mind so that you will be able to understand what exactly are they talking about.
Yes. And then always ask secondary questions. Like, don't just ask like, do you like this app? They say no. But don't just stop there, right? You have to continue like, so why do you say you don't like it? Is it because the UI isn't here? Or is it because it takes too long to check out my product? Or is it because the color are just off? Some people have bad color choices. I am one of them. So when they give you honest feedback, you must have ready ears to hear, and then make adjustments as you go, right? And sometimes, like what Keng Lai said, listening to an honest feedback might be a little bit tough. So what you need to do is could probably write it down first, and then give it some time to ponder on it on the next day or the day after, so that you would know that, hey, if it is a genuine feedback or is it just your friend is trying to pull your leg or something like that. So it's very important. The last piece is that analytics. How does measure how users use your app? Do they like it? How long do they spend time on it? Some people just install it one time and then they use it, and then they just uninstall it right away the moment they don't need it. So all this actually kind of helps. And then of course, there are other examples in a retail store or in a high traffic place. You can look at your heat maps, and one good example that we have is a Google Maps or even Waze. You start to see how many people are actually using the app, because they are contributing also to their location, how fast the car is going. So all of this information are providing you all of the back-end analytics that can help you to understand how often are people using your apps, and when do they use it, and in what occasions would they use it. So all this information really helps you to do your user research. And the better you do your user research, the better product you can produce. Right? So it's a very key thing, right? So back to you, Keng Lai, on this one.
Yeah, so just now we talk about how to collect data, right, based on your research. Now we talk about how do you test your UX DX design, right? So these are just some examples. There are a lot of methods to actually do this, but these are the common things that people actually do. So usability testing, we talk about this to go and try out to see whether your prototype is working per what you actually define, right? And you identify where is the place areas for your improvement. Now you can also do card sorting. So card sorting is basically prioritize your content based on categories. And when I say content, right, it doesn't necessarily mean documents. It doesn't necessarily mean text. It could be videos. It could be, how you prioritize your buttons if you're doing a web design, right? So, and maybe categorizing what features should row under which tab, those kind of things. Focus group. Yeah, get a group of people that ask them to try out your prototype, and then get them to discuss what they like and what they don't like about the prototype, and what do they think should be improved, or what are the good things about the prototype. So focus group, can also help you to get what are the areas of improvement that you want. Session recording. So in Intel, we actually often do this. So we have interviews. We came out with prototype. We have interviews with our partners or our customers, and then we let them try out our prototype, and then we record, and then they will, tell us in the recording, hey, oh yeah, I can go and do this. The navigation is good, stuff and blah blah blah, right? So these are just a few methods for you to test out your UX DX design. And then you have your test results, right? So how do you analyze? I know after you do tests, you could come out. You could have like 1,001 things to do, right? So, but analyze it. Some comments you can lump it together, and you change one thing, and it could actually improve several comments at one go. And also, you don't actually need to improve everything, right? You can prioritize. Like, for example, in this slide, I'm showing, okay, so what I'm prioritizing is function has to be good, because that's the basic thing for me personally, right? And what I'm deprioritizing there, if you see, a cutoff there is too much text. A table will be good. So maybe I think that, okay, for the documentation side, I don't probably need to put so much effort on it. Just get the app, function correctly. So yeah, you don't have to implement everything. You just think what is important for your product, and you implement that. And you have to balance between your time, your cost, right? So it's not like you have forever to build this app, right? So
Yeah.
right. So yeah, prioritizing is important.
That is true. That is true, Keng Lai. Because sometimes when you try to you can't do a complete overhaul at times. Sometimes you can do a complete code overhaul, changing the entire perspective and also the look and feel. But because of your resource constraint, you have to prioritize based on what you can do, and whether you can do a quick fix, and at the same time, have an idea of a bigger plan to do a complete overhaul at a later time. You have the resources that comes. So yeah, prioritize based on the inputs that you get, and then you will still allow people to still use your app pretty well. Yeah.
So here are some references that you can actually look into if you want to know more about the UX DX design, right? So I guess we are done. We already downloaded all our knowledge to you.
Yes. So while we're at it, if you have any questions, you can feel free to type it into the chat box, and we would love to have a dialogue with you. If you want to open up your mic and talk to us, we're totally okay about that as well. Is there any questions from you guys, or anything that
you guys want to ask?
Hey Kana, no, before the question, say thank you very much, Kana King Lai, right, for stepping up and presenting this. This is new for even the folks who are working in Intel, right? This UX DX thing. We started probably a year or two ago, right? The concept of this, and especially for the folks who are going to present in the finals or the judging, right? At least thinking through some of this. UX and DX before going in and presenting probably gives a bit more, a higher chance of not going into all these very simple questions that it doesn't look nice. I don't understand what this is. I don't understand what you're showing me here, kind of thing. Right? So we sort of avoid a lot of this basic question, and it sort of throws off your presentation. So really, thank you very much for that. And for the folks on the bridge, so I did. I want to make sure that we run through this quick. I want to do a quick game. I'm not sure if you all have played Kahoot before. So Kana and King Lai has given me questions earlier prior to this talk. So I will share my screen and we'll do a bit of a Kahoot game. Top three winners, I will send you some prizes. So it's not for nothing.
Look at the answers coming in this fast.
Spice it up a bit because a lot of people are paying attention. So put a bit of general knowledge questions inside.
Not bad, not bad.
The 11th fellas thing, Lisa.
Yishan, you did all these graphics on your own. Very nice.
Oh, the Kahoot will fill up for you.
Is that? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a smart thing.
Look, they all sound very similar.
It is true. And your picture reminds me of Spa.
It's a trick question.
So where do you wish?
Where you're looking at KLCC. You take Tower B and then you're good.
At the top, very top. Wow, that would be a very nice view.
Alright. Let's see who's the winner here.
Drum roll.
I'll get you the question and answers back to you.
Okay, so before everybody leaves, can we get those who are from IMDC to do your attendance? Scan the QR code.
That how do you get so happen there's this one important person that you want to get his or her viewpoint through this survey, but I believe maybe this person is out of your way to get this person to respond to that survey, and that's why you're asking what is the best way. Of course you can remind the person and inform the person why is it important. I mean, when you send a survey, don't just send a survey with a blank email, but make it personal. Connect with the person and tell the person that, hey, I know that you have done, you are in this field and you're very experienced. I would like to hear your viewpoint through this survey. Could you please have it done for me within X number of days? Or just put every survey, you must put a time bound, when to start, when to end, and by when they should submit. And at the same time, if they do not respond, try to, send an SMS, WhatsApp, text, reach out to them or meet them face to face. It's like, hey, I need you to really respond to this survey because you have this experience. in this field. So that's why your service is very crucial to me, and then make it very personal. I'm sure they will respond if you approach them, personally.
And I think it's important to, get, if you're talking about this particular person, then there is definitely some characteristic about this person, maybe the experience, right? So it's important to get multiple of the same unique personas, right? So that if this person doesn't actually reply you back on time due to whatever reason, you always have multiple others to actually rely on for the input. So, well, I learned this when I was trying to get donations. So you don't just only send to one, you send to multiple, because if you send 10, there probably only 2 will come back.
Yeah. Good question, though. Very good question.
For someone who is thinking, okay, from Elson, for someone who is thinking to be a UX UI designer, any words of advice or suggested path to achieve that? Okay, now during this pandemic time, there are a lot of courses online that you can actually take on UX or UI designer, and so some of these are actually free, and some of these you probably have to pay, and most of these are mostly from US, that companies that actually has been consultants that has always been doing this in this field for a long time. You can actually take those courses, maybe try out with the free ones first, or if you don't want, there are a lot of articles about UX and how to create your content, how to develop your web page for if you want to pursue a career in UX UI designer. Yeah, it's an incremental process. It improves once you get feedback and all. But do you think if there is a metrics that if your UI is good to go for the first launch? The metrics, you can actually build that metrics. That's when the prioritizing actually comes in, right? So when you do the card sorting, so you have the categories, you have features, maybe your features have A, B, C, D, E, and then when you get the user research, and then you identify, okay, which particular features is most used by people, so you categorize those and you create that metrics. So basically this thing has no right or wrong. It's really based on how you want your users to use and how your users would use your product, right? So it's not maybe 10 out of 10 people, 5 actually thinks a food ordering app needs to have a location first, or maybe 2 don't think that it's not very important, or stuff like that, or maybe 9 out of 10 actually thinks that credit card is important if for me to pay for the ordering app, and maybe 1 thinks that I don't have credit card, I don't care. So yeah, that metrics you have to build it, right? So there are some examples, again, like what Kana said, we are in a digital world right now. There are some examples that you can actually download from Google Analytics. Actually have some GitHub actually have some templates as well, if you're familiar with GitHub. So you can actually get those templates from GitHub as well. Okay, so there is another one. There are many ways to measure user experience. From Loshin, okay. But are there ways to measure developers' experience? So, what is developer experience? Is the user that actually use your software to develop something, right? So basically, they are also the user, right? So now, how to measure their experience is, instead of defining what the function of your end product is, you are actually defining how your software is supposed to behave. Example, probably, I don't know if you guys have been through the OpenVINO one. So OpenVINO is an open source software, right, that let users, developers to build things out of that. They have a lot of, like for example, I'm actually in the age inference solutions. So OpenVINO provides a lot of pre-trained models for people to, just get it and implement it on their application. So it is not a end user product. It is meant for somebody who has the experience in developing the product. So you just need to shift that functional to developers functionality. So now, instead of maybe, hey, food ordering app needs a location and blah blah blah, right? Now in your software, probably you want that, okay, I think I need the feature to make it containerized, right? I need to add in this particular register. I need to be able to enable this register for this particular feature at this time. Yeah. So you have to switch that function towards a software developer function. Well, I hope I didn't get back to all this audience. I hope whatever I mentioned just now actually helps to answer your questions.
Right. So there's one question. With the increase of AI in different fields, do you see UX design being taken over by AI someday in the future? There is a possibility, but today AI is more focused on making decisions and also inferencing. That means they mimic a decision that you and I would take, right? With some calculated, weighted. So there are many principles of decision making that is part of the AI engine. So, but when it comes to presentation, it is very personal. So to a certain part, maybe AI can emulate that. Emulation definitely can be done based on the person that is in front of the screen. There has to be a camera that perceives the user and say, oh, I'm seeing an Asian man, most likely in his 50s to 60s, and then it will actually emulate something that is very close to what the user might need. There is a possibility, but we will see how that flows, and that could be a very good idea to implement as well. User-aware user interface. I don't know. That's something that you guys can go and try out and let us know.
Kana, actually, there is an example. Well, this is a very controversial one, like for example, the Facebook, where they actually collect. So what they're using is actually basically analytics, right? So they're collecting things. So they're collecting the information based on what you search, based on what you Google, right? So, and then subtly in your Facebook, it will pop up those advertisements. Like, for example, I was very into the Netflix show The Crown, about the British Queen Elizabeth, right? So when I Google that, and then in my Facebook, it comes out all this information about how Queen Elizabeth did this, what happens to Prince Charles, and all that. So
yeah,
right.
I think that's a very good point, King Lai, because sometimes whenever you do a Google search or a Facebook search, immediately there's an analytic engine that is taking all that information and digesting it elsewhere, and then it's pulling in content that has to do with advertisement. So suddenly you start to see jewelry advertisement, or maybe because of a shoe or a bike, and so yeah, privacy is definitely a little bit of a trade-off. Privacy could be a trade-off, but there is an AI engine that is continuously driving that UI, and it is clearly seen in the retail space. Retail, advertising, they are all doing that today, based on what you search, what you input, what did you scroll, what did you touch on the screen. It will actually formulate that UI or the ad that you need to be captivated with, so that you will make the next move, like either purchase it, buy it, stuff like that. So yeah, good point, King Lai. Great questions. Thank you guys.